Hi, this is Broccoli Propaganda, a channel about sustainable weight loss in your 30s. And in today's video, we're going to talk about glycemic load. All this high glycemic food that you see every day. Now that a lot of you are working from home, you might reach out for a slice of bread with marmalade instead. But intuitively, you know that that's the food that is not good for you. But do you actually know why? It is because this type of food is high in glycemic load. The higher the glycemic load, the higher our blood sugar spikes after eating it. But why should you really care about this if you're not diabetic? Studies have shown that glycemic load of food influences your metabolic rate, your appetite, and fat gain, or how much fat you burn. There is a study, for example, that shows that you store more fat on a high glycemic diet than on a low glycemic diet, even if you're eating the same amount of calories. But before you go ahead and Google all of that, be aware that high glycemic load is not the same as high glycemic index, because Google will show you mostly glycemic index. And this could be misleading, because glycemic load and glycemic index is not the same, and most people do not realize that. Glycemic index will only tell you part of the story. And this part of the story is not very practical when you are choosing what to eat. Let me explain. Let us look at this picture. So you see two foods. Which one of those do you think you should avoid? Well, I hope most of you said the donut and not the watermelon. But if you look at the glycemic index of these foods, they both have a glycemic index of 76, which is considered high. This is why looking at glycemic index only is not enough and can lead to poor food choices, because if you just look at this glycemic index, you might think, well, I should avoid watermelon. Instead, you should look at glycemic load, which takes into consideration the serving, the quantity, as well as the entire quality of the food, not just carbs in it. This is why watermelon has a glycemic load of 7, which is on the low side, because it consists mostly of water, and the quantity of absorbable carbs will be low in the serving size. Low glycemic load ranges from 0 to 10, medium glycemic load from 10 to 20, and above 20 is high glycemic load, meaning you should avoid it if you want to lose weight. So, as you can see, not all carbohydrates are bad for you, and looking purely at glycemic index can be misleading. You can easily see that if you compare the glycemic index charts to glycemic load charts. You can find that online, and you will see that some foods that are considered high in glycemic index will be on a medium or lower side of glycemic load, like the example with watermelon. It all depends really on how fast the starch in the carbohydrate can be absorbed into your bloodstream and create this sugar response. So the structure of the food is also very important. For example, the white bread will create a almost double sugar response, sugar spike, than the white pasta, even though they are made from the same ingredient, flour. So a lot of people kind of bunch them together and they think it's as bad. But actually, white bread, because of its structure, can be absorbed and create this sugar spike much faster, while pasta is more solid, and then it takes much longer for your body to digest it and to absorb it. So next time that you're considering what to eat for breakfast, think and ask yourself, is this food that I'm gonna eat high glycemic? If you start your day with high glycemic food, you will get hungry much faster, and this will actually make you eat more calories at your next meal. So studies have shown that on average, people eat about 100 calories more, and they are also hungry within 4 hours after they eat breakfast. This is why low glycemic carbs are also considered slow carbs, because it takes your body much longer time to digest and absorb the starch from the carbs into your bloodstream. Note that instant oats, as you can see on the chart, are actually high glycemic, but rolled oats are medium glycemic. So again, here we can see that the food can be the same, so it can be oats, but they are not the same on the glycemic load. So choose rolled oats to start your day and add blueberries to them, as research has shown that blueberries lower glycemic response. So studies have shown that high glycemic food is also more addictive. So this is a problem because you want to eat more of them, and the more you eat, the higher your calorie consumption is. And studies have shown that even if you eat the same amount of calories but high glycemic, then say this amount of calories in low glycemic, you will gain more weight from the high glycemic food. So they've been overfeeding people like about 50% of calories of their daily need, which is actually quite common for people to overeat just without a study, because especially if you're eating addictive foods, it's really easy to overeat your daily need. So they were giving people this 50% more calories on a high glycemic food with high glycemic load, and another group was eating the same amount of calories but with low glycemic load, and they've gained less weight, which actually has come to a difference of like 1 pound a week, so like half a kilo. But the most important thing to understand about high glycemic food versus low glycemic food is to ask yourself, does this food have fiber in it? Because most high glycemic food is highly processed, so it's fiber depleted, because what the food industry really wants when they create products for you, they want this product to be addictive, so they want the starch in the carbohydrate to create a faster sugar response so that you get addicted to it much more. That makes it much easier for the enzymes in your body to actually digest starch that is depleted of the fiber, because the starch in the cell is not protected by the fiber, which is in the walls of the cell. So if you eat whole grains, you know that they will be on the lower glycemic load because they have fiber in them. And I already talked about how fiber is beneficial for weight loss, so increase your fiber consumption, and watch my video on that to find out more. But I think this is a very, very easy way to spot low glycemic load against high glycemic load food. If you just ask yourself a question, okay, is this whole food? Is there like fiber in it or not? Or is it highly processed? And then it's going to be easier for you. Please like this video if you liked it, and dislike it if you didn't like it, and don't forget to subscribe, because in my next videos I'm going to talk about how to deal with bloating when you start to increase your fiber intake. I'm also going to talk about whether to eat at breakfast or rather skip breakfast. I'm also going to talk about some weight loss tips that help me lose weight. So stay tuned, subscribe, and click on that notification button, and see you in the next video.